But this is my life chapter, and I had several topics to talk about, but could never get them fleshed out. So I decided to do a stream of consciousness as I was sitting on my porch. I said, as I'm sitting here on my porch, which was Sunday night, bathing in prayer. I have I might be covering two separate topics depending on how long this first one takes. But I also wanted to just start out with uh, two Bible verses. The first one is Galatians 5:1, and it says, "Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty by which Christ has made us free, and do not be entangled again with the yoke of bondage." And then the second one is Ephesians 6:10 through 11. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So it's kind of the broad theme of this. But I wanted to talk about how I was motivated to join Cal Hill, getting close to 2 years, approaching in on that. But it was a time in my life when I was really overwhelmed with life and succumbing to old issues that I thought that I had conquered and dealt with through counseling and trying to put on the armor of God. But I found myself just being kind of feeling like a sense of doom all the time. It was mainly around work, which I think you guys, that's kind of a common theme in my prayer request. But it was a lot of it had to do. I kind of think it was some spiritual attack, but I have struggled with feeling self conscious and inadequate a lot in that area. And but a lot of that I think is just getting older in the technology industry and working with these brilliant 25-year-olds that are actually really nice, but you just, I don't know, I let Satan and my mind play a trick on me a lot. But anyway, I had really it just really hit me hard a few years back. And like I said, I had just a sense of doom that I didn't feel like I could overcome. And I was trying to just reaching out to God. Then you get kind of where you put up walls and things like that. But I felt an overwhelming sense that I should join Cal Hill. And I think when Chai in her Holy Notes earlier was talking about, that God will work out things in the way you least expect it. And being an introvert and join an online Bible study just did not seem like that would be the thing that would help. Because it just, it's like, and I remember that first meeting, like, boy, I loved it, but I was just like, I'm not one to stop and chime in and stuff like that. Um, I know a lot of people struggle with how I felt, and I think God brought Cal Hill into my life to really learn about sharing life struggles and joys with other believers. I think being around people where you're kind of a clean slate, it made me feel like I could be more vulnerable, and it was a catalyst to being real and open. I think doing the life chapters allows God to work through you as you're talking about things. I think that we all enjoy listening to others a lot more than we enjoy doing our own, but I've always found that it is cathartic to work through things. I and getting back to my struggles a few years ago, I found myself opening up about how I felt when I was when in my life around friends and family, I think I put up a wall that I'm doing okay. It seemed embarrassing to me at my age to be struggling with work, and so I just tended not to talk about it. But in Cal Hill, I found myself putting out prayer requests and getting prayer requests. I also found myself uh, getting like yelling out loud, rebuking Satan, and even singing, which I think that would be hard for any demon that was trying to mess with me then because I don't sing good. But I also found that just repeating scripture out loud and then I also found that even, when I talked to Cal Hill, I mean, I put out prayer requests, and I always felt like, there'd always be someone, just if you got a little hard or something like that, but you just felt like there was someone just even saying a quick prayer. And I uh, I even started doing that like with my own friends. I remember one time at work, I just felt like I can't get this done. I felt overwhelmed, and I texted some of my friends outside of Cal Hill, and I just said, "I need prayer right now. I really need prayer." And I got anyway. That was really good. So that kind of bled over into that, and I even did that with my family, and it made my one of my older brothers got worried, and he sent me a book about. Anyway, I thought it was sweet. He talked to my other siblings, like, "Do you think she's okay?" But I thought it was sweet. Um, and I kind of lost my space here, but okay. This was a okay. I'm talking about the life chapters here. I think it was a great idea, whoever came up with doing the life chapters. And I'm doing that as I sit here and struggle with trying to write this one this week. But that is just, I think, I think without those, I don't think that we would have had the intimacy as a group, and it just kind of made you get to know people on a really deep level. And I also always want to be aware that Satan, but okay, I probably don't have, Satan is probably not actually assigned to me, but one of his minions really knows, they understand human behavior, and they know how to push our buttons because they've done that for thousands of years. But I just, I want to always remember one of the things that we talked about at the retreat. I think it was Casey on the teaching. She talked about that for the unbeliever, this life is the best that it will ever be for out of eternity. But for a believer, this is the worst that life will ever be. And I just want to always remember that life is really hard, and there's a lot of hard things to go through, and it doesn't get any easier, but it's also beautiful and wonderful at the same time. And so we have reprieves, but this life will always be somewhat hard until we get to be where we're really supposed to be. Um, and I wanted to give an example of where when you think you think you have it together, and you think you're in a situation. But I went to the Cal Hill retreat, which I had really high expectations, and it exceeded my expectations. And but one night I woke up, just something woke me up in the middle of the night, and I just started having all these like barrage of negative thoughts, just like, what you said today was sounded so stupid. That was so, you were so, I just felt like, you don't belong, you're not, it's almost like I wasn't a cool kid or something like that. And there was absolutely nothing anybody did at all that was just coming from, I think it was a spiritual attack. And I just got my Bible out and prayed and sang, which probably caused, I think I need to remember that, because I think that would cause demons to flee pretty quickly. But and then that kind of, every once in a while on the rest of the retreat, that would kind of like, "Oh, you sounded so stupid when you said that." And I was just like, I just had to in my mind rebuke Satan, because um, to me that proved that the retreat was bathed in prayer and was doing what it was supposed to do, because I was getting somewhat attacked. But that is topic number one, and so I do have time for topic number two. Like I said, this was a stream of consciousness, and now I can't find my other sheet, but I do know what it was. Okay, I will just have to wing this one. I wanted to give a tribute to my friend Maureen, who's been a friend of mine for a couple of decades. We met at the Young Adult Bible Study Fellowship, and you age out of that at 35, and we're well past 35, so I know that's been a long time. But she is a really good friend. That she's probably the person I hang out with the most, and she's a very giving person. She's a lot of fun to be around. She was a school teacher, so she retired sometime in her 50s, and she took care of her dad when he was sick, and then her mom, and then she took care of her brother that was in Vietnam, exposed to Agent Orange, and was sick for many years. And then she took care of her sister, who died of ovarian cancer just shortly after her brother died. And then she donated a kidney to her mother. And anyway, she's just a very giving person. And she just always like, come over to my house, and she'll just have people over and cook. And we always say she kind of has a grandma house, because she has, those little souvenir spoons that your grandmother probably had in a little wooden case. She has those like in her kitchen and stuff. But um, she was diagnosed this couple weeks ago at this point with pulmonary fibrosis, which will probably shorten her life. You can live, it really varies on how long you live with that, but it's going to, she'll probably be on oxygen before too long. And I know she recently went on a trip to Paris and Holland, and my friends that were with her said that she was gasping, like just walking a block. And I went to Maine with her last summer, and we were hiking all over the mountains, and she was doing great. But I do have an update on that. I talked to her. She's been in Florida, and her nephew is a compound pharmacist, and she's working with a naturopath along with a regular doctor. And she's going to try this compound drug that combines two drugs, and they're trying to get the underlying reason. And so anyway, she's got some hope there. But I just popped in my head, I wanted to honor my friend Maureen. So those are my two topics, and that is my life chapter, and I love you all.